Welcome to this Edwin Coe podcast, which is intended to bring up to date the claims in relation to the truck cartel, and in order to introduce the principles behind the claims to those that have yet to join the proceedings. My name is David Greene. I'm senior partner of Edwin Coe. And I'm joined today by Zahira Hussain, who is a partner at Edwin Coe in the litigation department and has day-to-day management of the truck cartel claims for our existing clients. Zahira, let's start with the sort of background to what started this process. How did the truck cartel come to light, and what flows from it?
Sure, thank you, David. So what happened was that the European Commission conducted an investigation into 6 different truck manufacturers and found that they were guilty of colluding on price. That collusion was found to have started in 1997, and it was unusually long insofar as it continued until 2011. There were 6 different companies involved, as I mentioned, and their names are listed on the slide, so I won't go through them all. The cartel was found to have operated all across the EEA, so it was very wide-ranging in both scope as well as time frame that it lasted. As a result of the finding, it means that any companies or sole traders which purchased, leased or subcontracted trucks are likely to have paid an inflated price for their trucks in the period and shortly thereafter.
Okay, and when we talk about trucks, obviously that's quite a wide range, from the very largest, which are common on our streets, to small trucks. So what trucks are we talking about for the cartel? What trucks did it relate to?
So the Commission's finding was in relation to medium and heavy trucks. In other words, that's trucks that weighed 6 tons or more. And as I mentioned, the time frame was 1997 up to 2011. Of the 6 companies, 5 of them admitted their involvement to the Commission. The only company which has appealed the finding was Scania, but they've all been very heavily fined as a result.
Okay, and you've got on the slide here, bought between January 97 and December 2012, but the cartel was finished, actually, as I believe, by a dawn raid by the European Commission, but it was brought to an end in 2011. So why 2012?
So we've actually included a slightly longer period for the purposes of the claims, because we say that the market, the trucks market and the pricing doesn't go back to normal overnight. It takes a while for the pricing and the market to go back to normal. So we have a cut-off period for the purposes of our claims of December 2012.
Okay, and so you've got the manufacturers who have admitted the cartel, and then you've got Scania that is, I think, appealing a decision. What about others? What about, I mean, does this affect the market as a whole? What are the others? And I see on the slide you've got a very multicolored umbrella. Why is that?
Yes, the reason why is because for the purposes of the claim, we are including trucks that were manufactured by non-cartelist companies. For example, somebody may have bought a Dennis truck or an Isuzu truck, and providing it weighed 6 tons or more and it was within the period that we were discussing, so 1997 until December 2012, it would still count for the purposes of the claim. And the reason why is that the 6 companies that were found to have participated in the price fixing have something like a 90% share of the market. And so the argument is that their conduct will have had an impact on what the other truck manufacturers, such as Dennis, were doing with their pricing.
Okay, so I bought a truck, and usually it's not just one, but I may have bought hundreds of trucks during the period. So we established 1997 till 2012. What's the effect of the cartel? It's a price fixing cartel, but what does that actually mean in terms of what a claim is worth? What's the overprice?
So it's estimated that each brand new truck that was sold in the period was overpriced by up to 20%. Some have estimated that that could be an overprice of up to 10,000 euros per brand new truck that was purchased in the period. And I'm referring to euros because, as I mentioned earlier, the cartel was found to have spanned across the whole of the EEA. In addition, one has to include interest on top, and bearing in mind that the cartel started over 20 years ago, the interest element alone is likely to be very significant. So these are potentially very sizable claims, and this is a great opportunity for those who have suffered a loss as a result of the price fixing to try and get their monies back.
Okay, so the firm's now been running claims for quite some considerable period. And there are proceedings both in the High Court and in the Competition Appeal Tribunal. So where are those claims, and where are Edwin Coe's claims?
So we have issued a total of 3 sets of proceedings. Over time, we act for over 125 clients. The first set of proceedings was issued back in 2018. All of our claims have thus far been issued in the High Court, but eventually, after a certain stage of the claim, they're being transferred to the Competition Appeal Tribunal, which is a specialist tribunal that deals with competition-related claims. And it is collectively managing all of the trucks-related litigation in order to try and have a more uniform approach to matters and try and ensure that there are consistent outcomes. So our first set of proceedings has since been moved to the tribunal, and we expect the same will happen with the further 2 claims that we issued more recently. As you'll see from the slide, we act for a broad range of clients which purchase, leased, or in some cases subcontracted trucks in the relevant period. And our clients are drawn from a very wide range of different sectors and industries. I've again given some examples on the slide. I won't go through them all, but we have a broad range from breweries through to those that have dealt with waste management. So, as I say, 3 claims on foot. At the moment, most of the proceedings after a certain point are being effectively stayed, whilst the tribunal is dealing with some of the test cases it's selected. Those test cases are drawn from a pool of claims that were issued very early on in the process, so before we had issued our 3 sets of proceedings. And the idea is that the outcome of those claims will hopefully establish some common issues which would apply to all of the different litigation. And who knows, that may lead in some kind of negotiation, perhaps an out-of-court settlement in due course, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and so proceedings are going on. Now, part of the message, I think, of this podcast is really about those wanting to join the claim. And there are clearly limitation issues, because I think we're talking of the Commission's decision in relation to the cartel being issued, I think, in July 2016.
Yes.
So what does that mean? What are the time limits, and are we past them, or is time marching on?
Yeah, so normally we would say it's 6 years from when you could have discovered that you have a claim. The precise starting point of that is a little bit up in the air with these types of claims. But as you mentioned, David, the Commission's decision was issued over 5 years ago. So taking that starting point, the 6 years will expire in July next year. So time is indeed marching on, and what we would say to anyone who's looking to make a claim is that they really should get in touch as soon as possible, not least because trying to get all the relevant information together in order to issue the claim can take a little bit of time, not least because we are looking for records going back sometimes over 20 years. So it's important to try and get the ball rolling as quickly as possible so that we can be ready to issue further claims well in time and in advance of the July deadline next year.
So you've got this range of proceedings going on in the Competition Appeal Tribunal, in the High Court, and obviously there are a lot of truck owners, truck purchasers, and indeed SEs taking proceedings. Why should they join the Edwin Coe claims?
Well, first of all, we're able to offer clients a cost and risk-free claims process because we have funding available for these claims. And we've also got insurance so that if for some reason the claims are unsuccessful and the claimants are ordered to pay the defendant's costs, then the insurance would kick in and provide that cover for those adverse costs. In addition, as I mentioned, we act for clients from a wide range of sectors, and it's always helpful to join in with a cohort from a familiar or similar industry where possible, because there are certain issues that are likely to arise, which would be industry specific, such as pass on. We're already acting for over 125 claimants, which means that we've got quite a bit of experience now about what information is required at the outset to get the claim going, what the defendants are likely to argue in their defences, and the types of issues that may arise. In addition, we have, because of our extensive experience, managed to streamline our signing up process, and we're trying to seek minimal details from clients at the outset about their trucks, and we're using that information to try and populate some of the key details that we required using a database. So we've tried to make the process as easy as possible and to try and minimize management time for clients.
And I think you mentioned that it's risk and cost free, and I think you mentioned that we have third-party finance on the slide, so that people can feel assured that they will not have risks in making a claim. And to some extent, it's tempting to say it's a win-win situation for those potential claimants.
Yes, exactly. There's no obvious downside because it doesn't cost you anything as you go along. Yeah.
All right. So I obviously, if I'm already in the proceedings, that's fine. They will continue as they are. But what about newcomers? How do they get in contact?
So you'll see that on the last slide, we've got our contact details. As I mentioned earlier, and I would just emphasize again that if anyone is thinking of making a claim, they should act very, very quickly. If you get in touch with us, and our details are there, they're available on the slide, we can have a quick chat with you on no obligation basis, just to assess the viability of the claim, understand a bit more about whether you purchased your trucks or you leased them, and what the arrangements were. And then we can advise you as to next steps.
Good. Okay. Well, there you have on that final slide the details of contact. And as I and Zahira said, is if you haven't already issued proceedings, joined a joint claim, indeed the Edwin Coe claim, do get in contact. We will give you a completely no obligation idea about the claim itself, and indeed the prospects of success in your particular circumstances. So do get in touch.